So today I was talking about energy efficiency, especially in households, and I was talking about energy efficiency, why it is important. It's not only important to reduce CO2 emissions, but it will also decrease some other emissions of other pollutants. It will ensure energy security. It will prevent the need of new transmission lines and also new very expensive capacities that we have to build. So it's very important to increase energy efficiency, but then especially also in households, because households make up, especially for electricity, make up to 30%. At least in Switzerland, it's 1/3 at the moment. So it's interesting to look at also the residential sector. And when you look at that, you want to know, or the policymakers need to know, like, what is the potential of energy efficiency savings that we can promote in the next few years or in the next 20 years. And for that, measuring energy efficiency is important, and one thing that you can do is looking at energy efficiency indicators. But then at the moment there's not a real definition of how you measure energy efficiency using indicators. There are different indicators one can use. One is looking at energy intensity. For example, in the residential sector, that would be energy used per square meter for space heating, for example. But then if you look at that on this indicator, on this energy intensity, also climate would have an effect. And this energy intensity measure would not only measure energy efficiency or work as a proxy for energy efficiency, but then also effects like climate or household size play a large role. So those indicators do not really measure very well energy efficiency, and that's why you use other kind of methods. One is some bottom-up economic engineering models, but they have a large disadvantage because they need to assume future technologies. The method that we use is a more top-down approach, using some microeconomic approach, using a frontier, using some econometric method to estimate a frontier, and then to look at the distance of the households to the frontier in order to see how inefficient they are. And in a study in Switzerland, we measured an inefficiency of the households, an average one, between 20 and 25%. Seeing that there's a large potential and we can increase there. But in order to exploit this potential, one would need some policies of the state, for example. But then also in Switzerland, there are a lot of utilities that already started doing some energy efficiency measures. And that's why we looked at some utilities in Switzerland and did a policy evaluation on 30 utilities in Switzerland. Some of them implemented so-called demand-side management measures. Some of them did not, so we could do a nice policy evaluation with this data. And we saw that actually demand-side management does have a negative effect, meaning that the spending that the utilities did really have an effect on the residential electricity demand in Switzerland. And we also saw that it's cost effective overall. It would of course be also interesting in looking at the different measures that they did. But at the moment the data doesn't allow us to look specifically at different measures. But I think it's very important to do more policy evaluation like that also in Europe, because there's a large strand of literature in the US looking at that, but in Europe there's not many studies done in this area. So I think this is really important in the future to do such policy analysis, looking back on what has been implemented and whether it worked or not in different European countries.